We are back. We are back. Let's do this. We're gonna throw up the video very quickly. Let people get in here. Nah, forget that video. We don't need that. We'll just get started. So what is going on, everybody? Thank you for coming back. Hope everybody enjoyed that episode with Suze Lejudai. I might be the only person who knows how to pronounce her name. But that was fun. What a great episode that was with her. It went by super quick. Let's see. Did you get it? We are going to have someone joining. Someone is going to join me here. We're going to just hang out and shoot the poop for some more sports cards live after hours. The only thing is, usually I throw this guy right here up, this guy right here, but it now kind of cuts off the top with this new format that StreamYard has. So we're not going to put that up right now. We're just not going to put that up. Jake, thank you. Appreciate that. Appreciate that comment. And hey, there we go. Rich says you need a road. I do need a road trip to New York, Rich. Hey, you never know. I might be able to get out there. You never know. Might be able to get out there. Wouldn't that be a lot of fun? Come see you, buddy. Come see you. A bunch of other people. There's a few shops I want to check out. There's lots of things I could do in New York for sure. But yeah, that was fun with Suze. She's a great guest, man. That went by so fast for me. Literally went by so fast. I figured we were at like the 30-minute mark. I look up, it's like an hour and 20 minutes. Troy, good to see you. No worries. Yeah, check it out later. It was a fun episode. Give it a check out. Give it a check out later on. For sure. So one thing so here, there's all this talk, all this I'll just call it talk on tickets right now. And I was doing some organizing. Here just today in this room here. Things were just a little bit out of control in here. There was crap everywhere. I'm like, I got to organize it, kind of, clear the space, clear your head a little bit. So I did that. And in doing that, I went through and I grabbed my old folder of ticket stubs from events that I'd been to. And I pulled out some of my old concert tickets. And it's like, I don't think I'll get them graded or anything. They'd be nice just for display purposes to have them slabbed up. But I don't know that I'm going to go ahead and do anything like that. But I did pull them out. I figured I'd share them on here at some point with the chat. So, but just to see, Anthony George says it's a must see for sure. Toys. I think he meant Troy. But yeah, I had a lot of fun. DJ Lazy Jeff, appreciate that. I thought she was a great guest for sure. And I like that idea at the end to do a 24-hour live stream sort of telethon for charity. We're going to do that. We chatted quickly after. We're going to do that, something like that at some point in time. I haven't even shown them yet, Rich. How can you say what no Aerosmith? I haven't even shown them yet. And I have seen Aerosmith, but I don't have the ticket still for some reason. Otherwise, I would have pulled it out and have it in my hand with the ones I do have here. Foul Five Ball, what's going on? Bobby Burrell, 2 hours. Yeah, it's going well. Yeah, exactly, Bobby. I loved your answer to that question, by the way. Chris C., welcome back. Rich, no Aerosmith. Embossed, what's going on? Suze was great. I agree. Foul Five Ball, any thoughts on Mark's cards? It was my first and only LCS. Oh, that's too bad. I'm sorry to hear that it was your first LCS. Well, maybe we'll talk a bit about it. Bobby Burrell, what no Van Halen? So I will show the ones that I do have. I do see that we have a guest who has come into the back room. So let's bring him on. He sent me a message saying, hey, what's going on? There's Joe Perot from Santa Cruz. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing well. How are you, Jer?
I'm good. What were you up to before you came on here?
I mean, I was like watching the Warriors game. I had taped it, and then I was listening to your show, and then there was some action on Clubhouse. So just a lot going on a Saturday night.
Nice. Very nice. And my Calgary Flames are in what looks to be a goaltender's duel tonight against the Vancouver Canucks. There's like 6 minutes left in the third period. The score is 0-0, and there have been 28 shots for the Flames and 15 for the Canucks. So wow, their goalie is playing well tonight. So I'm going to show these tickets. I don't know if you heard that, Joe, but I pulled out some tickets and they're in chronological order. So I'm going to go through these because I think it's just fun. And you never know. Maybe I will get them graded one day and just as my own, or just framed. I don't need them graded. I just need them framed really as a display. But the first one I'm going to show, this is from August 2nd, 1992. This is, I'll tell what it was. For August 2nd, 1992, me and like 5 of my buddies, we hopped into a couple of cars and we drove from Winnipeg down through North Dakota, South Dakota, Minnesota, over to Chicago to Grant Park for Lollapalooza 1992. Lollapalooza 1992. I was there. It was awesome. And wow, that's what is that? 30 years ago. 30 years ago. Wow.
Time.
Crazy. Lollapalooza. Second ticket. This is from August 23rd, 1994. Rolling Stones, the Voodoo Lounge Tour.
Ooh.
Went to that show.
Nice.
Then now we're going to skip ahead. September 24th, 1996. Smashing Pumpkins. Yep. Followed by May 21st, 2003. Went to see Coldplay. I love Coldplay. This might be my favorite, one of my favorite bands of all time. October 27th, 2003, the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Flea.
Anthony Kiedis. November 17th, 2004, another one of my all-time favorite bands, REM. I love these old Ticketmaster tickets, right? You got all the information. September 4th, 2005, Pearl Jam. This is probably like the 4th or 5th time I'd seen Pearl Jam. I had seen them in 92, 93. They played an event called Sunfest in Manitoba back then. I went to a couple years in a row. Pearl Jam. This was a great show. June 26, 2006. This was System of a Down, I just love their music. System. And then the last one, this is from May 17th, 2017. I pulled this one out because, I had the ticket, but it's who I was with at this concert. But this was Barry Manilow. Went with Brian Gray to see Barry Manilow in 2017. This was during the National that year. Allstate Arena, Chicago.
Wow.
Me, BG, and a bunch of others went, and we sat in a suite. Actually, it was a lot of fun.
Wait, what year was that again?
2017.
Okay. Wow. Barry Manilow. Amazing.
Brian Gray is a huge Barry Manilow fan.
Wow.
I wish he was watching right now. He'd start singing Barry Manilow.
I could be wrong, but isn't Brian kind of interested in tickets, like getting tickets into cards somehow or another? I don't know if you talked to him about that.
Yeah, I think I've heard him talking about that a little bit on on Clubhouse and that, but yeah, that's my concert ticket collection. There was a couple others that I was like, no one will have heard of, so I didn't bring them up. But
let me ask you, Jerry, real quick. I know you're going to go to the chat here in a sec, but like those are all shows that you attended. Do you have your sights set on any particular tickets for events, be they sporting events or concerts that you did not attend, but that you would like to kind of have some sort of memorabilia piece from?
No, I don't.
Not really. That's not your jam.
No, never say never, but when I think about it, I do see the attraction to like debut tickets or tickets from first appearances, big like GOAT moments, as Carvin would say, or championships or record breaking games of a player, a 300th home run or that kind of thing. I could see that being interesting, but I got my hands full with the sports card hobby. I don't need to veer out into tickets. Events I've been to, like these concerts, that's pretty cool to put those in a collage or something.
Well, one way to maybe sort of backward plan it too is a ticket that you did not secure at the actual event, but you were there and you somehow find a way to access that ticket, posthumously, so to speak.
Yeah, it would have to be a really important event for me to go through that effort to track down a ticket from that event.
Did you see Gretzky play live many times, one time, multiple times?
Yeah, probably many times. I mean, I used to go to games in the 80s regularly.
Okay.
Had season tickets in the early 90s. So I probably seen Gretzky play live, I don't know, a dozen times over the course of my life. Yeah.
I mean, that'd be kind of cool. Like I have the only time I saw Michael Jordan was when he was on the Wizards and he came to the Golden State Warriors. And I have the ticket from that I went to. I was in the third deck, and he scored like 20 points, and it's just cool to finally see Jordan in the flesh. I was in the upper deck, but nonetheless, that's a meaningful one for me.
That would be cool. That would definitely be cool. Yeah. I did find some old hockey tickets from like Madison Square Gardens. There was a year where I was traveling for work. I think I got to like 9 different hockey arenas and saw NHL games. And I saved those tickets, but I don't remember those games. I don't remember if there was a big deal at any of them. Was it somebody's first appearance? I have no clue. And I'm not likely to go do that research.
Yeah. No, I mean, the moral of the story, I mean, for what the story I'm hearing from you is that there's only so much we can keep track of in our hobby collecting interests. And I know that you already cover a lot of territory. So tickets, it's just, only can do so much.
Pretty much. Yeah, pretty much nails it right there. I'm going to go to comments now. I love how you said, I know you're going to go to comments. Yeah, you know me pretty well. So, Aaron says, just hit the like button. Sure, guys, hit that like button if you don't mind. Chris C, thoughts on eBay certification? I mean, yeah, that's certainly big news, big hobby news. My thoughts on it, I don't like. I don't know. I don't know enough about it, but I don't think it's going to make the eBay experience more streamlined. Like, I don't think it's going to make it more efficient. I think it's going to make it less efficient. It might make it safer and safer against buying, damaged cards or not getting what you're expecting. But my experience on eBay, I started there in 1999. My experience over 20 years on eBay has been, for the most part, very positive. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think it'll lessen my activity on eBay during this initial startup phase of this new service. And after I hear feedback from other people in the hobby who are going to test it out, then we'll see. I kind of reserve the right to kind of have thoughts on this until later. Right now, my thoughts are very jumbled, and I just don't know. Joe, your thoughts?
I'd like an opt-in option, and I agree with you that, I think if you've been in the hobby for a while, you're already assessing the legitimacy of any given card. And so I can see the benefit for people that are new to the hobby. I can see the benefit for certain issues that might, be known for, fakes or whatnot, scams. And I appreciate that impulse, but I feel like lumping them all together is kind of taking everybody down the path of potential, like we just don't know yet. And I agree with you. It's like, it's a wait and see thing, but I can't imagine that anybody's going to like the extra time, the extra party in the transition point with all the things that can go wrong with that. So I wasn't jumping for joy. Let's just put it that way.
And the cost, it does say it's free, but then it says very important for a limited time. So it's going to increase the cost of transaction on that platform on eBay. I think it's going to open. I think it's a great opportunity. I'm going to talk. So Tim Getch will be on Sports Cards Live next Saturday, CEO of ComC. I can't wait to hear his take on it. Is this good for them or bad for them? I think it's going to be good for them. I think it's going to scare people away from eBay for a little while, but it may have one of those sort of short-term pain, long-term gain type approaches for eBay and the hobby. Time will tell, but I agree with you. Another set of hands, another stop along the way, another chance for things to go wrong, all that. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. But interested in what other people think. Troy says, welcome to you, Joe. Hockey says, wow, he lives. He used to be everywhere. Welcome back. Welcome back. Jeremy Allen loves that clubhouse. Yeah, I see you on there all the time, Jeremy. DJ sure. Lazy Jeff, will the telethon be called Cardathon or Card Stock? It won't be called Card Stock. I like Cardathon though, DJ Lazy Jeff. I'm going to write that down. You might have just named the charitable event that Susan and I are going to organize. Cardathon. Yeah, she was serious about that. That's really cool. Chris C. No Black Sabbath. No Aussie either in my history, unfortunately. Thank you, Skeppy. He says, I appreciate you always taking the time to address the chat. You are one of the few that manages everything the way you do. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Thank you, Joe. Mark says, I'm behind in my videos, but I can watch for some time. My Rangers lost 2 games in a row after 2-0. Yeah, and what's going on in the Flames game? I got to just bring up my app here and see. Wow, 1:38 left in the third, 0-0 still. Yeah, Rich says that Lollapalooza is still an event in Chicago. I know, it's always the same weekend as National, right? We are competing for rental cars with everyone for Lollapalooza and hotel rooms, for sure. Tom Bullard, good evening, good evening. Wow, 1992. Yeah, definitely need to frame that, right, Troy? Bobby Burrell says, Jeremy in a mosh pit would pay to see that. You would have had to pay. I remember being at oh crap, what concert was it? It was oh damn. The name of the band is escaping me right now. But you'd all have heard of them for sure. A big grunge band. Big name grunge band. Lead singer died. What was it? What were they called? I got to go down to the bottom here. Come on, somebody tell me. Joe? It was like from the Pearl Jam days.
I'm more of a classic rock guy. Sorry.
We'll come back to it. Tom says, my favorite ticket stubs from shows is First Family Values tour with Korn, Limp Bizkit. I love Limp Bizkit back in the day. Orgy, Rammstein, Ice Cube. I think Ice Cube was at Lolla in 92. I think he was there when I was there. I'm pretty sure he was. Chris C. I did see Sabbath, B.B. King, Eric Clapton, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Pantera, Metallica, White Stripes. Great shows. Kept my ass. See, that's a great stub collection right there. I've never seen Metallica. I'd love to see Metallica and White Stripes. Rich Barone, I write the songs. Nice. Mark, have you seen Judas Priest, AC/DC, Kiss, or Van Halen? Man, I might have. It's like, listen, I don't remember every concert I've been. I might have seen Van Halen, but never seen Priest. Would have loved to have seen Judas Priest, Rob Halford back in the day. AC/DC for sure. I would have loved to. Bill says, my brother kept all his tickets too from the same era, has them under glass in his coffee table. Yeah, that's really cool. Really cool. Chris Hayes, 92 was the second year of Lollapalooza. Yeah, I know. I just missed the rookie card ticket. You're right. I remember that being the second year. Jeremy and the buried Manilow mosh pit. No, we were hanging in the private suite. Actually, it was really nice. Brian wants to do a rock and roll set with used tickets. Yeah, he's loading up on them right now too. I'm sure he'll get that done. Colin Murray says, I've seen The Watchmen 10 times. Me too. I've seen them more than that, Colin. I've had about half a dozen of their tickets. I just didn't bring out. My cousin married the drummer, so I'm pretty tight with that band. They're from my hometown. I'm a big Watchmen fan. I wish I'd seen Nirvana as well, Chris. Definitely. Tom Bullard saw Gretzky once, and he was coaching. I was at a game where he was behind the bench for the Coyotes too. Rich Barone, I believe Rich Barone was like legal counsel or agent to Aerosmith. So of course you got the stories, Rich. Of course you do. You've seen Mark Santucci. You've seen Guy Lafleur. I probably saw him too in the 80s. Probably, because I don't remember exactly, but I bet I did. Here we go. John says, I was a concert promoter from 89 to 2016 in Pittsburgh. I promoted over 6,000 concerts during that time. Some became massive. The hobby world has no idea that I was in the music industry. Well, cool. Very cool. Troy's Collectibles, seen Gretzky live once when he was with the Rangers versus the Canucks. Canucks lost as usual. They still suck. What happened? Did that game go into overtime? Looks like it's going to overtime tonight. Canucks against my Flames. Dunkachino, can't believe the Seahawks didn't run the ball. I can't believe that the Bills called that freaking Josh Allen called tails. Still can't believe he called tails.
That really got you, man.
That got me. Rest in peace, Clark Gillies. No doubt. Rich Brown was at all the playoff games, including the Cup games. Gretzky played on Long Island, right? That was up until like 83 or so. I think they went a couple times against the Islanders and lost. Mike Petty was at the Forum when Gretzky broke Gordie Howe's scoring record and kept the stub. That's awesome, Mike Petty. That is awesome. Here we go. Purple Haze. I feel like eBay changes will make me use it less. Just seems so inefficient and it's forced on us. I just don't need the extra few weeks between me and my cards. See, I'm patient when it comes to receiving cards. As long as they come, I'm usually pretty patient, but I do agree. I think it'll make me use it less. Hockey. Any thoughts on what is happening with Star Stock? No thoughts, hockey, but open to hearing what is happening. I've heard bits and pieces, but until I hear it from them, all I know is they've stopped submitting. They've stopped taking rock hard submissions. I saw that tweet, that message, that email, but that's all I know. And thoughts on it? No. I mean, if they're managing their business is what I would say. Time will tell. More information to come. Bobby Burrell says third parties in the hobby sure like to fix our hobby. Right? And hi to you, Purple Haze. Soundgarden. Bill nails it. It was Soundgarden. I was in the mosh pit for Soundgarden. I'm in the mosh pit for Soundgarden. Next thing I know, I see my buddy, like who I was there with. I see him, I swear to God, I see him coming running from behind on the stage. He got up somehow on the stage from behind the drummer, right through the middle, and basically like stage dived into the crowd. It was hilarious.
It's like the 60s. If you remember it, you weren't there.
Exactly. Everyone guesses Nirvana. I would have remembered Nirvana, but great guesses, guys. Alice in Chains, one of my favorites. I love that era. Yeah, more guesses of Nirvana, but no, it wasn't Nirvana. How about some Sponge? I don't remember Sponge, Dwayne. I don't remember Sponge. Do you?
Nope.
Joe?
Nope.
Alice in Chains or Stone Temple Pilots. Great guesses. I loved both of those bands back in the day. Mike Petty, I wore Elton John's Philadelphia Freedom Wig when I worked backstage at Universal. Very cool. I saw Stevie Wonder back at my first concert ever. I'm in grade 6, go with my cousin and another buddy, and we go to see Men at Work, Business as Usual tour.
That's taking us back.
That was way back. That was probably in like 85 or something like that. 85, 86 maybe. That was my first.
Did you see any shows when you were in Australia?
Yeah, I did. So I was a big fan of Midnight Oil when the Diesel and Dust album came out in North America. That was their first North American release.
Yeah.
Came out in like 88 or something like that.
There's nothing like seeing a show like in a foreign land. I mean, for whatever reason, because you get the kind of intersectionality of the artist and then like a crowd that's a different crowd than you might be used to.
Well, I was young. I was 18 when I went to Australia. I was 18 and 19 years old. And yeah, I went and saw Midnight Oil. I was a big fan of theirs. Went to see them twice. They played like 2 or 3 shows in Sydney. Went to 2 of the 3.
Ooh.
And then I got into all their back library, their backlog of albums. They had like 6 albums before they made it into North America. And those early albums were all excellent. I bought all the CDs. I still have them somewhere. Of course, don't know where they are anymore. But yeah, loved their whole library was great for me anyway. Lots of Soundgarden. Yeah, Soundgarden's the right guess. No, it wasn't Nirvana. Yeah, Chris Cornell. Mike Petty, I've been backstage. That's cool with Tom Petty. Stone Temple Pilots, my favorite grunge era for sure. Yeah, I loved Stone Temple Pilots. John G got to meet Walter Gretzky. Chris C, I'd rather get real cards in 2 weeks than get a fake in 5 days. Hey, that's well said right there. That's well said right there. Good night, Rich Barone. The mayor has left. We call him the mayor of Canada, even though he lives in New York. Daniel Busby says, I don't care what anyone says. Nickelback is one of the greatest shows ever, and everyone says they suck, but completely sold out. I mean, when Nickelback put out their first album, I liked it. I enjoyed it. And by the way, my Calgary Flames did beat the Canucks in overtime. 1-0 Flames. Johnny Gaudreau with the overtime goal. He's having a great year. He's on a contract. Yeah, there we go. Terry Fortune. Gaudreau with the overtime winner. Thank you very much. Saw In Excess. I loved In Excess. Oh, that Kick album was great. And there's even some other stuff they did too, for sure. One last thought. Neil Young, Rush, no Canadian bands. You know, you say Bieber. Bieber's Canadian. Neil Young's Canadian. Rush is Canadian. All Canadian bands, Richie. All Canadian bands. I saw Blind Melon live. They were one of my favorite shows. It was just such an awesome night and for me and some friends I was with. Here we go. My first concert, says Mark Santucci, was Kiss at the Garden, Madison Square Gardens. Do you remember who opened? Bro, there's no way I remember who opened for Men at Work. That was 1985. I remember it was at the Winnipeg Arena, and we had like front row seats on the balcony, way up high. So that's all I remember. That's all I remember. Neil Young with Crazy Horse. Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. Oil gonna go on a tear. The Oilers. Yeah, Evander Kane, right? He scores in 10 minutes into his career with the Oilers for sure. CM, first concert was Foo Fighters' first tour. Yeah, I've seen the Foo Fighters as well. Enjoyed it immensely. Troy laughs at the Canucks. Pearl Jams, yep, seen them a handful of times. Chad Chipper, first concert was Cinderella, Winger, and Bullet Boys. Hilarious. Winger. I remember all those bands, no doubt. There we go. Who can it be now? That's right. That's Men at Work right there. Chrissy, you know it. Hall & Oates. I listened to all this music back, right? I like all sorts of music. So, and Dwayne Tomka says, greatest live concert I saw last year that trumped them all, Foo Fighters. Yeah, they're great. No doubt. All right. We got to the bottom of the chat. We're talking about concerts and concert tickets and only a little bit about sports cards. And we're on Sports Cards Live. So we usually talk about sports cards. Wait, Bobby Burrell saw Van Halen 4 times over 4 decades. That's awesome. Daniel Busby, Willie Nelson concert at Kane's Ballroom in Tulsa, Oklahoma was amazing. So cool. Very cool. I can't even remember all the concerts I've been to. Like the decades, man, they just go by.
They sure do.
How about you? What's one or two of your favorites you've seen?
Recently I saw I've seen the Stones maybe 3 times, and I saw them in Santa Clara at Levi Stadium maybe right before the pandemic, and I was very impressed. They had canceled the show because I think Mick had some sort of health issue, like a heart thing or something, and they showed up and they sounded great for a big stadium show. But yeah, I don't know. It would take a while for me to sort of catalog the different shows, and some of them. I was traveling when I was quite young. I think I was 20 through London, and I saw Run DMC, LL Cool J, and the Beastie Boys, and UTFO at the Hammersmith Odeum, which it hurt my ears, but that was a pretty memorable show. In terms of I think it was 1987. But yeah, I think what's on my mind, not to pivot to sports cards or anything, but the whole Tom Brady thing, Jeremy, you and I both had taken a little bit of a fancy to Tom Brady memorabilia cards. And as it so happens, somebody on Clubhouse was describing it as almost like a fire drill today. We don't know if Tom Brady is actually retiring, but it seems like the market definitely responded as if he was retiring, because it was announced and then sort of taken back a little bit by his father. And we'll see if the announcement comes back. But I'm curious, people in the chat, you yourself, Jeremy, thoughts on, clearly the GOAT of NFL, and the big argument in Clubhouse today was, Jordan or Brady, for, which player rises to, the premier GOAT level. And there were
I'll jump in.
So
I'll jump in there, Joe. Yeah, good lead. And I would say, first of all, to answer that last question, it's Jordan. For me, it's Jordan. It's not even a competition for me. It's Michael Jordan over Tom Brady. If you're and not that you can really make the comparison, but overall significance in the world, I'm gonna say Michael Jordan there. As for we talked about at the beginning of the episode, the earlier episode with Susan, as to what does this mean for the hobby, and for me, what I think is we're now going to learn something. The hobby is going to learn something in this, because we're in a new era of the hobby, right? Since spring of 2020, that was the dawn of this new era, and we have never had a GOAT of his status or stature retire since then, right? Yep. We've had Kobe pass away, but he had been retired already. We haven't had a true GOAT retire in any sport that I'm thinking of. I don't think so. So we are now going to find out what's going to happen to Tom Brady's cards in this new era of the hobby, being the post-pandemic. And I'm not really, I might make a prediction or two, but I don't know what's going to happen to his cards. There's going to be more interest. People who have been dormant in the hobby might decide, hey, better get some cards because he retired, and they're going to go up in value. But I think that there's going to be attention placed elsewhere now that he's retired, and not that his cards are going to go down in value. There will be cycles, but I just think that now was not the time to buy. I think now might be the time to sell. sell now and buy back in once the attention goes elsewhere. If you're willing to wait, what's your horizon? Like I always say, my horizon is at least 10 years out. So now I'm probably not going to go selling the cards I just bought a month and a half ago, or not even a month, like earlier in January, because I'm just like too lazy to do that. But I think that now might be, I could probably sell what I just bought, make a profit, buy them back in 3 months for probably cheaper. I think that's what's going to happen. Could be wrong. So we'll see. But I'm excited for this case study that we're all going to be able to now witness and see what happens when a GOAT retires in this era. That's kind of what I want to see happen. And a GOAT of his stature, because he's of the highest stature. I still think that Jordan is just Jordan's a different animal. He's different than anything else. So that's what I think. Let's see what some of the chat has said about this. I'll start at the bottom. Mark Santucci said Brady played against easy teams. Rice and Montana are better than Brady. You can't. I mean, listen, I'm no expert, but I can't argue against that. Montana was awesome. Junkyard Goat Hunter says Wilt, Mays, Montana. Not sure what that's in reference to because I'm starting at the bottom here. Tampa Home Investors. Brady cards will continue to go up. There may be dips, but he's going up long term. I agree with that. Jake's Toe says MJ is known worldwide, old and young. Yeah, 100% agree. I think, and that's kind of what I'm getting at there. Kobe is better than Braun, says Chris C. Junkyard says Gretzky the GOAT, but Ovechkin should overtake him, which is okay. It takes nothing away from Gretzky if and when Ovechkin overtakes him, in my mind. Nothing taken away from Wayne. Waxel, what's this about? Says media's got to do a better job. How crazy to announce something as big as a GOAT retirement without sourcing from the man himself. Sad how bad these journalists want the limelight. Well, yeah, it's like everybody wants to be the first to break the news, right? So it happens in hobby content too, amongst us hobby content creators, right? Everybody wants to be the first to bring new news to the hobby, for sure. Daniel Busby says, I'm going to go on record. I do believe I got Jeremy into Brady jersey cards. I added 2 more. Did you, Daniel? I don't know. I can't verify that, but I won't deny it either. You might be someone who kind of put my brain in that direction, but it's not jersey cards, it's patch cards. And to me, there's a big difference between a jersey card and a patch card. I like the patch version or the patch option, if you will. Now we're getting back into concerts. Yeah, this is cool. My uncle was in the Smells Like Teen Spirit video in that gymnasium in 91. He said Kurt was nice and all, but he just didn't seem to care about anything except heroin. Okay. Can't say much about that. Go ahead, Joe.
Well, I was just going to say one thing that was being discussed earlier today was kind of how with the rise of the young quarterbacks like Burrow and Herbert and obviously Mahomes,
Allen.
Yeah. And then sort of looking at Brady as kind of a benchmark, right? Or, a way to evaluate what the preeminent, football player quarterback, what prices they fetch. And then, now that if indeed he does retire and we kind of are able to, as you said, kind of examine the case study of what his market does, it may provide information to investors or, how the prices of the other quarterbacks trend, given how young, so many of them are. And then you look at the distance that Brady covered, the accomplishments that Brady has done. And then you start to kind of reckon, where things make sense in terms of, the best, whatever it is, an RPA, a rookie card. And I think that's going to be an interesting element of this, not just Brady alone, but how where Brady settles, and then how that sort of has a subsidiary kind of impact on the other players in the league.
Yeah, interesting. It makes a lot of sense to me that, it's kind of like everyone is now going to be measured against Brady. All these young quarterbacks, their careers are always going to be compared to Brady's. And will any of them measure up? It's unlikely. I mean, it's just amazing how many championships he has, right? Like it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
And he's got he's had a long career. That's rare. That's lucky. He's a lucky person in every aspect of life. It seems like he's a very lucky person. And that's okay. Good for him.
Well, it was interesting because this debate about Brady and Jordan was kind of driving me a little bit crazy. And I was trying to figure out, because I think it's just impossible to compare the different ways in which, a basketball player compares to a football player. One thought I had was comparing Jordan and Brady to like the three most competitive players in their sport and seeing how far they outclass the rest. And immediately Carvin jumped in and said, well, then Gretzky would be the GOAT of all time, because he's so far outclasses everybody in the hockey world. I don't know what you think about that, but I mean, we could just focus on Brady and Jordan, but does Gretzky deserve a place in terms of, if we're talking about the all-time GOAT?
I think Gretzky is the all-time GOAT in the sport, but Michael Jordan transcends the sport world, and that's why he's on another level. It's like I just had up there, Purple Haze says Jordan is beyond GOAT, whatever that is, and that's exactly right. He's beyond GOAT. He's beyond sport. So it's completely different. But as far as sport GOATs go, I think Gretzky is the best at his sport ever, better at anyone has ever been at their sport, I believe. And I know there's even arguments, some people say Bobby Orr, and if Eric's watching, you're wrong. It's not Bobby Orr, it's Wayne Gretzky. So I think Gretzky is the GOAT of all. I think he's the GOAT's GOAT.
And I know the goals and the different ways that you measure hockey performance. How many cups did Gretzky win, or does that 4? Okay.
He had 4, yeah. Here, CM says Jordan is the GOAT's GOAT. Jordan was pre-social media, which made him even more revered because he never rocked the boat while on top, right? He had his gambling issues, but who cares? Like, I never cared about that. Junkyard says Chamberlain averaged 50 points on he's technically the GOAT. I don't get that, Junkyard. I don't know how that makes him technically the GOAT. Averaging 50 points with a 100+ point game. I mean, I do actually see an argument there for that, but it's just there's so much more, I think, to being like the greatest of all time than just how many points you had. And that would work against Wayne Gretzky, right? Wayne Gretzky might not be the most skilled player of all time, but his complete package is as good as it's ever gotten. And maybe, with that said, it's like maybe he's not, maybe you don't have to be the best ever to play to be the best athlete to ever to have the best career. It's hard. I'm having trouble articulating what I'm thinking right now, but Junkyard, he throws this whole thing for a loop actually with this comment, because is being the GOAT, like the real GOAT, the one and only best player of your sport. If it's Jordan for basketball and Gretzky for hockey, and after that, it's not as clear. I don't think it's as clear in baseball and football, although now it's become clear that it's probably Brady for football. But again, just because you have the best offensive stats in the sport, is that all it takes to be the greatest of all time? And that's what Junkyard is saying for Chamberlain, that technically he's the greatest of all time because he had the most points, or averaged 50 points in his career. I think you have to look at era, who you played against, what the competition was like. There's just more to it, I believe.
Yeah, so, I mean, there's a lot of angles on that, and winning championships is certainly one of them. I mean, if you're going to talk about all-time scoring leader, I mean, obviously Kareem, but certainly in that one year where Wilt averaged 50 points and got the 100-point game, you could say that was the GOAT season. I was actually confused. Yeah, I was confusing Kareem's all-time points with Wilt there. It had me thinking that was Wilt, but no, that was Kareem, right? Who's the all-time points leader for now until LeBron overtakes him, right? So yeah, that having one great season or even a couple doesn't make you the GOAT in my eyes. It's the whole package. You can't just, and it's not just going to come down to numbers. I don't think it's going to come down to a few other of like intangibles in a way. So, but let's stop. I don't even really enjoy these GOAT discussions all that much. So
T-Dot says Gretzky is the greatest impact on his sport ever. Chris C. Jeremy, do you feel that Fanatics would do an exclusive PSA agreement, which would basically mean pre-graded cards or NFT, and you'd have no choices to get them raw? Just have the feeling it could happen. I don't think that's going to happen, Chris. No, I absolutely do not think that'll happen. I think there might be some products that could be distributed that way, but I don't think that it's going to be everything. I think that's impossible, actually. T-Dot, Jordan worth the greatest enterprise value. Yeah, and that's telling. That's indicative. Anthony George says you're the GOAT when the public calls you the great one while you are still playing. Love Ovi, but Gretzky is king. Yeah, for sure. Jake's Toe says, I wouldn't call it lucky, but hard work staying healthy. In reference to what I said about Brady, yeah, I hear you, but staying healthy is lucky. That's what I meant by lucky. Jake's Toe is that staying healthy itself takes luck season after season, for sure.
We make our luck. I'm gonna jump on that bandwagon just a little bit. I mean, knowing what Brady does to ensure that he maximizes his chance not to get hurt. And it's not to say that luck doesn't enter into it. And as my grandpa used to say, I'd rather be lucky than good. But I think when you look at Brady's habits and his commitment to the way he trains, you can say that he has, as much as possible, controlled that fate.
Yeah, there's probably something to say for that. Like every time he gets sacked or tackled or hit by a player who's trying to take him down, there's a risk of injury every single time that happens, right? So if he knows how to fall, if he can control that in that split second and make sure that he's not going to bust a leg or a shoulder or a knee, I mean, there's an element of skill to being tackled, I guess, but there's also a lot of luck to not being tackled and having your neck broke, right? I mean, there is luck or whatever broke. So, I mean,
avocado milkshakes, you know,
whatever it takes. Mark says Gretzky belongs in the conversation. Gretzky over Brady. I mean, I'm gonna buy into that. I'm probably biased. I'm a hockey fan. Tom Bullard says Wilt Chamberlain could do anything, including records back then in track and field events like high jump. Fair, yeah. That's against Kareem, old person to block the skyhook and all-time scorer. Mike Petty says nobody could finger roll like Wilt and shoot free throws underhanded. Then from the top of the key and chip paint, he revolutionized the headband. All Valley Collectibles says I use the term GOAT loosely. To me, there are goats and there are goats for an area. And I always say All Valley that we use the term goats very loosely in the hobby now, and that's okay. But it's okay because goats travel in herds, so there can be more than one goat. I think it's when you actually get rid of the acronym and say it out, and it's all. When you say greatest of all time, you are no longer talking about goats as we say it so frivolously in the hobby. You're talking about who is the greatest of all time, whereas goats is something different. And I know I'm mincing words, but that's how I think of it anyway. Troy says Gretzky had the best number on his back and the shiniest stick. Well, that'll make you a goat, right? That'll make you a goat. Here we go. Evan Thomas. Michael Jordan, Jack Nicklaus, Wayne Gretzky, and Tiger are the GOAT Mount Rushmore. Yeah, I mean, but where does Babe Ruth not get on there somehow?
Muhammad Ali. Yeah, but there's only 4 on Mount Rushmore is too restrictive. It just is. It's just no fun. You're always leaving somebody out, right? It's interesting. He put 2 golfers in, and somebody was talking up Nicklaus. I can't say that I'm a golf expert, but I think that's an interesting comparison, Tiger and Nicklaus.
Yeah, 2 of them. Yeah, you're right. And Purple Haze throws Muhammad Ali out there just like you did. Colin Murray says Wilt was 10 feet tall. Jordan and Gretzky were supposed to be the best. Brady barely got drafted. Well, that's great for Brady, though, right? It's not always nice to someone to come up from out of nowhere. Kareem is the Gordie Howe of basketball. I like that. I like that. Oh, Junkyard says Fanatics partner with CSG. Oh, yeah, I wasn't even thinking that when we were talking about that it wouldn't be PSA at this time. It would be a CSG partnership, most likely. Albert Jones says, who the guest? This is Joe Perot. I don't know what happened to our names. Oh, there they are. That's Joe. That's Joe, Albert. Say hello. Joe, say hi to Albert. Albert's a loyal watcher. John says Lemieux is better than Gretzky. I've always liked Gretzky, but Lemieux is the GOAT in hockey. Lemieux is a great player. That's the thing, right? You don't have to be the most skilled player to be the GOAT. There's more to it than just that. Connor McDavid is, I believe, one of the top 5 skilled players of all time. Is he a GOAT? Not even close. He hasn't done anything yet. Like, he's had some great years, but he hasn't some individual statistics, but he's not in GOAT status. He needs Stanley Cups to get to GOAT status, I believe. That's part of the GOAT package. Ted Williams, and that's with how I really dislike Boston teams being from Buffalo. It's a good call out by Tom Bullard on Ted Williams. Mike Petty says Eddie Shore was the GOAT. Yeah, I mean, but that's, he played in the 30s, right? Like, it's tough to make that claim these days. But back then, he was the GOAT for sure. He's a hockey player, Joe.
Sorry, I opened Pandora's box here. I actually was disenchanted with the cross sport comparisons and all of that, but here we are. The chat into it.
Tom Bullard, my biggest worry with Josh Allen is his physicality. Fair. Purple Haze says Jeremy is the GOAT of sports card content creators. Thank you, Purple Haze. Appreciate that. T-Dot, you got to be good to be lucky. It's the law of averages for sure. Skeppy, here's a thought. If you could have your Grail card slab PSA 10, one with PSA DNA auto on the outside of the slab, or the other just normal, what would you pick? Do you understand the question? I don't understand. If you could have your Grail card slab PSA 10, one with PSA DNA auto on the outside of the slab, or the other just, oh, I see what you're saying. So take a slab, get the autograph on the slab, not the card, but on the slab itself, and get that authenticated. I just want the card in a PSA 10. I don't want any autographs on my cards unless they come out of the pack autographed, pretty much. Brady started for 20 years and made the Super Bowl in 10. That's an amazing, actually. Johnny Moyne, Idaho, welcome to the show. Thanks for the comment. Here we go. Mike Petty, take out Jack Nicklaus and put in Babe Ruth. That makes sense to me. T-Dot. T-Dot's on a roll tonight. Golf isn't a sport. Barry Bonds, GOAT. Yeah, Bonds is, a lot of people consider him the GOAT. Ovechkin. Sport cards times. I'm trying to collect Young Guns, true rookie cards. What products should be ripping? I don't rip a lot of products, sports card times, but Young Guns are the kind of the commodity rookie card in hockey. So you're on the right track there, I would say. Rod Laver, the GOAT, says Mike Petty. Is that extreme mountain climber that Carvin likes? Might be. I never remember his name. Jack Nicklaus stats are ridiculous for a 30-year span. Tiger doesn't even come close. Interesting.
He was making that point a little bit earlier that, yeah, Nicklaus may be, because Tiger is a little bit of the recency bias. And I'm not sure, though. I mean, in the same ways when you watch actual basketball players and you compare eras, personally, I feel like anyone pre, Bird, Magic, it's not anyone, but when you get way back into basketball, it's like you wonder how would they show up. And Wilt, Russell, they'd probably show up pretty damn well. But I don't know, athleticism and the training techniques, diet, all the ways that people have improved over time. It's an interesting question. I wonder, Nicklaus and Tiger going down the links, how that would work out.
Yeah, that would be nice to see both in their primes.
Their primes, yeah, exactly.
Always glad you opened it up. Great to hear the chat's view on GOAT talk. And then Albert says health has a lot to do with being a GOAT. Lemieux and or would surpass Gretzky if their careers were without injuries. I mean, it's interesting because Gretzky did back in the 80s when you were doing fantasy hockey drafts. You didn't get to pick Gretzky. Gretzky was either excluded altogether because if you had the first pick overall, you were almost guaranteed to win your pool. I'm talking about the mid 80s. So his stat, Gretzky was split into two picks. You could either pick his assists or you could pick his goals. And his assists would lead the league anyway without his goals. Then you add another 70 or 80 goals onto it. Like, it was just ridiculous how much better he was than anybody. Mario Lemieux is the only other player. I think Gretzky's the only player to have 200-point seasons, and I think he had 4 of them, with 215 being the most he's ever had. Nowadays, we rarely see a 100-point season. Think about that. Mario Lemieux's best season, I believe, was 199 points. Almost had a 200-point season, but only Gretzky's had 200-point seasons.
So sometimes people make the argument for Bill Russell because of the number of championships he won, even though statistically on an individual level, he may not measure up. Is there a hockey corollary, someone that won a whole lot of Stanley Cups, like upwards of 8, 10?
Yeah, I mean, there's a few guys. Like if he played for the Montreal Canadiens, like Henri Richard, Henry Richard, he was the Rocket Richard's brother, Maurice Richard's brother. Maurice is an all-time great. Henri Richard has 11 Stanley Cups, I believe.
Wow. Okay.
But I don't believe he was ever like the leader of the team. You know what I mean?
To be in the right place at the right time.
Exactly. So I think all sports where a team has won more than their fair share of championships has players who have won more, kind of a bunch, but they're just not remembered for their greatness because they were kind of just along for the ride. I mean, they were contributing. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to like, understate their contribution, but they were overshadowed, I think is a better way to put it. Overshadowed. Like Sidney Crosby has Stanley Cups. So does Evgeny Malkin, who's a great player too, but he's been overshadowed by Sidney Crosby. Just like all the players on the Oilers with Wayne Gretzky were overshadowed by Wayne Gretzky, and some of them like Mark Messier, Yari Curry, Paul Coffey, Grant Fuhrer. These are all Hall of Famers, but they don't come into the discussion of GOAT because it's just dominated by other players like Gretzky.
Yeah. And I'm not one of those people that, rules out somebody that just didn't happen to have the team around them or the situation that allowed them to win multiple championships. But when you do get into the GOAT conversation, I think you have to have, some degree of multiple championships to qualify, because there are enough people out there that do have that if you're, and I'm thinking of all the greats that maybe had 1 or 0, and they're still amazing players, but I don't think they quite get into the GOAT conversation because you have to win it all, I think.
Yeah, but they're team sports, right? Like I think of Connor McDavid in that kind of discussion, because Connor McDavid is, again, he's easily the best player in the NHL right now, the best player of his generation so far. No Stanley Cups. I think he will win one. I think he's good enough to carry the team to win one. But if I'm wrong, if he doesn't, I mean, yeah, is he just excluded from that discussion altogether because he never won a championship? Is he just the best Hall of Famer never to win a championship? Maybe that's how it goes. I agree. It's a whole package, right? You need more than just points. You need more than championships. You need, and like that's why the one thing about Brady, that one of the knocks against Brady is that in a couple of his Super Bowl championships, he wasn't integral to the win, and that I think has to be considered in these discussions. So let's keep going through the chat though. Tampa says Jagger would have passed Gretzky if he didn't leave the NHL for 4 years. Yeah, but he did. Unfortunately, he did. Golf is as much a sport as poker and chess are. Yeah, what about poker? Hilarious. Except that poker and chess are played sitting down. Golf isn't. That's a big difference. Let's see what else we got here. Crosby is the hockey GOAT, says Inglorious P. Ka says Babe Ruth or Barry Bonds in baseball, but people never see Nolan Ryan as one of the GOAT, and he should be. Yeah, Nolan Ryan. I mean, there's a great player for sure. Bill Russell is the Billy Goat, says Jake's Toe. Colin Murray says T. Jones must not play golf. Joe Sacco. Hey, Joe Sacco was a hockey player. Are you the real Joe Sacco who played hockey? He says hockey was different in back in the day. Ovechkin is the greatest. I mean, Joe Sacco, if you are actually Joe Sacco, the hockey player, then we will definitely take your comments at face value because you played the darn sport. Mario had the best hands ever. Let's see what Joe Sacco thinks about that. Dave Kaplan says disappointing end to the finish to the game. Not for me, Dave. Not for me. Perfect ending to the game for me. Talking about the Flames and the Vancouver Canucks. Colin Murray says Henri Richard was captain. Yeah, that's all. It's an important contributor as the captain for sure.
I think about Yogi Berra, right? I mean, I think he might have won upwards of 12 titles, and obviously an amazing catcher. I'm not sure we're considering him for GOAT status in the game of baseball, but a lot of championships there with the Yankees.
Yeah. I've heard him talked about that way before as well. Tom Bullard says McGillney, crazy rookie. It wasn't his rookie year though, Tom. I think it was his second year or third year even. And they scored 76 goals. Him and Teemu Selanne, both in Teemu's rookie year, both scored 76 goals. I do remember it, right? Because Teemu's my favorite athlete of all time, Teemu Selanne. Yeah. Mark Messier has more cups than Gretzky. No, you can't deny that. Selanne had a ridiculous rookie year. Too bad he didn't come to the NHL a few years sooner. But I think it's because he didn't come a few years sooner that he was as good as he was. I think that was I think it's the opposite of too bad there, Tampa. I mean, unless you're just saying too bad he wasn't as good 3 years earlier when he could have come in. Because, he had to fulfill his military duties in Finland before he could come over and play, which he did. And he was like 22 in his rookie year, and he was excellent all the time. Albert Jones, so how do you qualify to get on the show? You're talking about this show? How do you qualify to get on this show? It's a grueling process to get on this show, Albert Jones. No, basically, to get on this show, I just have to meet you. And want you to come on the show. Simple as that. And by meeting you, I don't mean like in person. I mean like in a Zoom call or something. And you have to bring something to the table, I guess. I guess I'd say that as well.
Jer, are you going to the Mint Collective deal down in Vegas?
Yeah, man. You don't watch the show? I've been talking about it for months.
Sorry, yeah, I was forgetting because it got canceled and then it
got postponed. It only got postponed. Yeah, it's March 25th to 27th. I will be there. I'm a curating partner. I'm on I'm moderating some of the panels. Yes, I'll be there, and I will be very involved as well.
I was talking to some folks and starting to get a little bit of an itch to go. What do you think it's going to be like down there?
Awesome. I can't wait. I think it's gonna be great. I think it's because it's gonna be not just a card show. There's events. There's like discussion panels to sit on. There's rubbing shoulders. There's networking. There's meeting people. It's Las Vegas. I mean, I think come, man. If you can make it. If you can make it.
Chris, that's organizing, and I think I was talking to Chris. Maybe I don't know.
Chris who?
With Mint Collective.
Corbellini?
Maybe.
Yeah, well, the collectible team collectible is co-producing the whole event. So there's one Chris at Collectible that I know, so it could have been him. Yeah. But they've got lots of people involved, lots of like content creators involved, and I mean, not that that's a good thing nor a bad thing. I mean, some bring more to the table than others, I would say, but I just think it's going to be a fun event overall. I mean, yeah. Dana White scheduled to speak. I mean, that'll be pretty neat. Hear what he has to say. Junkyard Goat Hunters agrees with Mays, Gretzky, and Rice. Yeah, you can't forget Jerry Rice. The attention always goes to the quarterbacks, but you can't forget about Jerry Rice for sure. Rich Frank says Yogi is definitely a great, from what you were saying, Joe. Got Chris J. Mantle, Jordan, Brady, and Gretzky are my goats. 24 chips combined. Mantle, Jordan, Brady, and Gretzky. Yeah. I mean, I never saw Mantle play. Don't know much about his playing days. I understand that there's better players that played. A lot of people say Hank Aaron was better than Mickey Mantle, but there's more to it, right? There's more to it, I think, when it comes to the GOAT discussion. Tampa, military requirements. Yep, that's why. Lewis Hamilton is the GOAT, says Jahan. Yeah. Yogi versus Johnny Bench is a tough one. Rice records won't be broken.
No, they won't.
And Albert Jones wants to know, so who are you, Joe Perot? I'll tell you. I'll answer for you. Joe is somebody that I met through the show. I don't remember how we ended up communicating, but Joe's been on several times on After Hours with me over the past year and a half, I would say, and is a good friend of mine and someone who just said, hey, do you have a guest tonight? If not, shoot me the link. And I said, fine. All right.
You let me on, Albert. Who knows? Who knows what?
Okay, and what's this one? Ed Seat says Jordan, Gretzky, Rice, and Mays are the GOATs. There's another one. I mean, it's hard to argue with any of these, really. Hard to argue with any of these. I did not see the 86 Mets documentary yet, Dave Kaplan, but I hope to watch it. Definitely hope to watch it. Evan Thomas says, always wondered how you sorted your PC. Do you go by year, team, player, sets? Appreciate any suggestions over the madness I have going on. Well, that's a great question. I mean, you have to first thing you have to do with your collection is divide it up into PCs. PC is not the right terminology, right? Because we say, oh, I have a Gretzky PC, I have a Jordan PC, I have a Brady PC. Well, you have a personal collection that then has cards of Jordan, cards of Gretzky, cards of Brady. So I say I have my personal collection, and then I have several, I just call them PCs because that's just the language we use, but several PCs within the overall collection, and they are sorted by theme, really. If it's my rookie collection, it's by year. Everything's pretty much by year, actually. I'll leave it at that. Everything is pretty much sorted by year for me. That's how I do it. Who do you guys have on the football games tomorrow? Well, Joe, I'm guessing you've got San Fran. Is that right? Kind of have to.
I'm a Niner fan, and I have some concerns. Just the referee crew that's calling the game is the referee crew that has called the most pass interference penalties through the course of the year, and the Niners are particularly weak in their secondary. So I'm a Niner fan, and I'm going to be screaming my behind off for that game. But I don't know. I could see the Rams moving on, and then I might go chalk here. I mean, Joe Burrow, really amazing story on the come up. The Chiefs might just have a little more experience, so I might go chalk. I might go Chiefs, Rams.
I don't know as much about it, but I'm going to go Chiefs and 49ers because the 49ers were not expected to win last week, and they did. So I'm going to go 9. Listen, it's not who I think's going to win. It's just, I'm just calling it for fun. I have no clue. I do think Kansas will win. I do think KC will win. And I'm going to go KC and the 49ers. Waxel says Joe is the after hours goat. Lots of goat talk tonight. Love it. Lots of goat talk. Good evening, Lapper. How are you doing? Good to see you. Jake's Toe says, just glad none of these comments have LeBron in them, which is actually surprising. No one has mentioned LeBron yet.
Hey, that is refreshing, isn't it?
Colin says, who are you, Albert? Everyone here has been on the show. No, not everyone, but that's pretty funny, Colin. Albert Jones, got any heat or you keep it on the DL? So asking to see some of your cards, maybe.
Safety deposit box. Let me see if I can find I did have a couple mail items coming in. How about you, Jeremy? You get anything in?
Yeah, I pulled out a couple. Because this was big for me, guys. I don't know if you saw on my Instagram I posted, but I completed an 8-year hobby project just the other day. Actually, I went to pick it up at the PO box.
See that
yesterday or the day before.
Yeah.
But, I completed a 9. They're 9 basically 1-of-1s, and I ended up getting the 9th card after not having 8 for a couple of years. But I was able to from the Winnipeg Jets, one of the best players to never win a Stanley Cup, Dale Howard-Chuck. So I got all 9 letters. So of course they're all here. And the last one I needed was the C, which finally showed up on eBay, and I snagged it. So that was pretty cool. And now Corey from Show Your Slabs is going to build me a holder. Do it this way, I guess. Do it backwards. So anyway, these spell out Howard-Chuck. There's too many for me to fan 9 cards, but you got the H, the A. I'll just show them for the hell of it. The W. I think they're just really nice. Game worn from a nameplate from the back of a game worn jersey. Dale Howard-Chuck passed away in 2020 from pancreatic cancer. And he was my favorite player as a kid. And not my all-time favorite player, but he's my biggest PC within my collection is definitely Dale Howard-Chuck. And it was nice to put that to bed. At first, I was just going to buy as many as I could as they showed up. And then next thing you know, you're getting close to all 9, and then you find the 9th card, and you're like, holy crap, I didn't know if I'd ever buy it, ever find it. Like that card could have been sitting in some wax investor's stash for decades. And then this came in the mail also this past week. This is a second-year Sidney Crosby The Cup gold patch base card parallel out of 10 that I really want, because I collect these base patch parallels. And that's like card number 305, I think, in that PC within my overall PC. You got a couple cards to show? You're muted.
I do. I optioned up in a card that I have appreciated for a lot of years and had 2 of in the safety deposit box. So I went on down to the bank and I grabbed them out, and I'm looking to sell them. They're 2 low grade. Let's see here if I can get them. They're
your lighting is not good.
Sorry, let me see if I can turn it up a notch here.
That's a bit better.
Anyway,
34 Garrigs.
Yeah, they're ones. God, not so good. I got an SGC old label, 34, and then this is a Beckett with a pinhole in it. I know you like pinholes, Jeremy. Sorry, the lighting is kind of sucking, but anyway, I'm trying to actually move those out because I was able to get a 3. And so, that's kind of how I collect. When I am able to option up a little bit, I kind of sell off the lower grade.
It's a good plan. Purple Haze, any thoughts? We talked a bit about Star Stock at the beginning. No thoughts. Don't really know what's going on there. So as the information comes in, be interesting to see when we, I know that they've stopped submitting raw cards or intaking raw cards, but if that's all it is, I don't know. I've heard a few other things, but nothing verified. So let's wait till we hear more. But if anyone has more facts, please let us know. Tampa says, man, you come on SCL and didn't bring any cards. Too funny. Those were Howard Chucks, though, Lapper, not Timu's. Those were Howard Chucks. Thank you, Dave Kaplan, on the Ducky run. Thank you, Tampa. Appreciate it. So Joe Sacco, are you Joe Sacco, the hockey player, or the not the hockey player? Kind of guessing you're not the hockey player, but if you are, that'd be cool too. Dave Kaplan, did you guys talk about the eBay authentication thing? We touched on it on the earlier show, and we touched on this one too, didn't we? Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, we touched on it. I think the summary was, let's wait and see how it goes. But I think it's going to reduce my use of eBay a little bit, because I think it'll scare some other people off. So fewer sellers, I would say, which means that if you're a seller on there, you might have more of the market to yourself. So that's not bad. Yes, Lapper, those are all game worn. He was your uncle's next door neighbor in Gimli. Yeah. I was at his place in Gimli myself.
Good distinction, Lapper. I mean, I'm really all the more interested in game worn stuff now that, the modern issues are coming out with, some sort of event use thing. So appreciate that.
Yeah, same here. Tampa says, did you find all the Dale Howard cards on eBay online? It was a mix. Some of them at card shows at the Expo in Toronto. I think a couple people knew that I was collecting him and them. So people came to my booth, said, hey, look what I have. Like, oh, I need that. I had to pay basically 2 to 3 times what I paid 2 to 3 times on the last card than I did on anyone before. But I needed it, right? Like you need it. Like that guy had me. He could have got whatever he wanted out of me for that card, probably. I mean, to a degree, right? But I would have paid triple what I paid for it.
You kept your cards close, I'm sure, right?
Well, he put it on eBay at buy it now or best offer.
Okay.
He put it on eBay, buy it now or best offer, $400. I had paid anywhere from like 80 to 150 on these things in the past. Okay. He puts it on 400, more than I want to spend, but I offered Canadian. I offered 200. He counter offers at 300.
Oh,
and I just said, accept. I wasn't, because people knew I want this card, Joe. So,
yeah.
Somebody could have grabbed it just to spite me. So I was like, no, forget it. I'm grabbing it.
No, I had a couple. So I've been, on the Joe Burrow hunt, like all of us, or many of us have been over the last week or 4. And I have had so many Joe Burrow cards slip through my hands, where I put in an offer, I get a counter, I'm kind of flummoxed. Like, do I take do I just accept it, or do I continue to negotiate? This is all on eBay, right? And man, I mean, he's been flying off the shelves. Like, it's one of those things. I mean, we've talked about this before, Jeremy. It's like, if you really want the card and there's any chance that somebody else out there really wants the card, you're not going to regret just taking it. Like, instead of trying to get into the trenches of negotiation and then having it slip through your fingers, sometimes it's good just to say, I'll accept that, counter offer, and like, be done with it.
That's it. Exactly. Sometimes you just got to pay to get the card. Because I put on my Instagram when it landed, I kind of did a teaser. I said, a card I've been searching for 8 years has appeared, and it's on it, and it's coming in. And I said, a card I've been searching for that I've needed for 8 years. And then I put in the smaller right and say, trust me, this is a need, not a want. This is, in the hobby, that's as need as it gets, right? I always say you miss a card, there's always more cards. No, that card, I could not miss it. I could not miss it.
Yeah. And that's really speaks a lot to your own, what you've identified in your collecting purpose, right? And at the point you were at in that, goal that you had, it was a no-brainer, right? But then there's gradations of that, right? Where you're maybe not as sure if how much it means to you. And I think that's one of the things, I mean, I've learned a lot from you, Jeremy, just in terms of like identifying what is really important to you, because I can get kind of distracted. I can go over here, over there, and maybe lose track of what, a primary goal is, or a real focus of collecting might be, discipline, all that jazz. So anyway, I kudos to you for capping that off. It probably feels really good. And do a little victory dance, pop a bottle of champagne, whatever suits you. And congratulations.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. Thanks. Yeah, I mean, it's I was thinking about it, there's still another card I need out there. That's a 1-of-1 card that I need. There were 2. I found one. I thought I'd never find either of them. So the fact that I found one, I'm very happy. If I never find the other one, I will be okay. It's fine. This one I probably wanted more, but I was thinking about it, like, it's those sorts of hobby experiences don't happen very often, where you can finish something like that, something that difficult. Like, there were 9 cards on the planet. There's no, like Dave Kaplan says, any idea on the print run of those letters, are they numbered? Yeah, Dave, they're all 1-of-1s. Now they're numbered to 9, right? They're numbered to 9, but they're all 1-of-1s in, like, they just are. There's 2 H's because there's 2 H's in his name, but they're all game worn. Upper Deck that year in the cup inserted his whole nameplate into the packs and put them into different packs, and they were all distributed around the world. So the print run is, there's no more. That's all of them. So there have been other companies that have put, like, In the Game has put out Howard Chuck's nameplate before, but never from a Winnipeg Jets jersey, from like Team Canada or something else. I'm not even sure. Maybe Buffalo Sabres or St. Louis Blues. But for me, that was the only nameplate I wanted. There are no more out there. They're all 1-of-1s, even though they're not, if that makes sense to me. I hope that makes sense.
Maybe that's a question for the chat. It's like, when have you just accepted or leaned into overpaying because you just had to have that card? Is there an example in your collecting experience where you just went all in, you just said fuck it?
Just had to buy it. Yeah, I mean, I think it happens to a lot of us at times, but there's a difference, right? Like, you can overpay for a card, but you're overpaying based on comps. There are likely, in many cases, there's other copies on the market that you can find eventually, right? So
right.
When do you and I've done that. I've overpaid for a card that is not a 1-of-1, that there's many copies of, let's say. But when it's the only card that exists, there's only one copy. if you have to overpay, sometimes you just have to, for sure. Chris J says everyone last year did that, which is pretty funny. I'm sure it's not far from false, actually. Waxel says cleaning a print run is one of the hardest things, regardless of the player or product. Yeah, cleaning a print run, and that's what this is, because these are numbered to 9, and there's 9 of them, so I did get all of them. I've done that once before.
Jeremy's busting it out. Just do that again. I liked how you kind of just fanned them out there, like, yeah.
It's hard to do, but there they are.
Yeah, I mean, and I would add on though. I mean, so there's one of ones, or you get a PMG green or something, where there's just limited on the planet. But then another angle on this is, if it's a really expensive card, let's say a Bowman Mays rookie, right, which we've talked a little bit about. There are versions of a 4 or a 5 or a 3 that look one way, and then there's versions that look another. And if you see a 4 that looks like it could have qualities of a 6 or a 7, that might be the time to push all in and say, I'm willing to pay over market value, because I don't think I'm going to have an option to get into this card, a card this nice, right, in another moment anytime soon.
Yeah, some cards speak to you for whatever reason, and you just gotta make the play. I mean, if you're a passionate card collector / even investor, you got to make the play. But I think you're really gonna. I don't know that investors are really gonna ever. No, I'm gonna stop that sentence right there in my tracks, because we've seen people who present as investors overpay for cards all the time. So overpay, not overpay, pay over comp is what I mean. And there is a difference there, because again, are you really overpaying if you're only outbidding the next guy by 1 bid increment? Is that really an overpay, or is it a 1 increment overpay? In which case there was no choice. It's the only way you could get it was by doing that. So you really didn't overpay. We could go on. It's some of these topics you could just go on for hours. This one, the GOAT one, right? But that I like that one. That one's fun. A couple of people did make some comments. Jake's Toe, everything is only worth what someone is willing to pay. Yeah, agree. Albert Jones, overpaid for my OV Young Guns auto, BGS 10 auto as well, but now it's worth money. So you overpaid at the time, but hey, it worked out well for you. Chris C bought a Kobe Chrome PSA 9, no greening. Very nice, very nice. The Dream says, I've definitely overpaid when necessary. I PC Chilean soccer players so they don't come up as often, so I snag them when I can. Yeah, that's true scarcity, right? You just got to buy them when you see them. Mark Santucci, I overpaid for a card because I didn't see a crease in it. It was in a screw down about 1992. A Mike Schmidt rookie. All right. Lapper says you overpaid on a McKinnon totally certified mirror green rookie card 101. Figured I'd never see it again, and it is one of my favorites. I think I have the out of 10 version of that card, actually. I believe I do have the out of 10, maybe. Not sure, Lapper. Waxel, someone out there at one time wanted to get all 10 PMG greens of a player. Imagine trying to finish that. Yeah, I mean, it's doable. I mean, it depends not 97 basketball, I don't think, but it's doable. And, Flair retros and that kind of thing. All Valley overpaid a few times for good eye appeal. Again, I don't know that that's overpaying though, All Valley. I think you're buying quality, so you got to pay for it. So I think, first of all, kudos to you for paying extra for good eye appeal, but that's only going to pay dividends in the long run if and when you do dispose of that card.
I mean, the satisfaction when you get that card in hand, and you've made a play, and in your mind you're thinking, I know I overpaid, but then you receive the card and you look at it, and the decision that you made is kind of verified by your own appreciation, and now you have the card. There really are PSA 1s and 2s that I treasure really, really deeply in ways that maybe a 3 or a 4, and I'm talking about vintage cards, it's really just, it's a big old cliche in the hobby, but buy the card, not the grade.
100%. The thing is, and it's, I think more and more people are catching on to it now, but the technical grade of a card, people often take issue with the grade that they receive on a card because the card looks so good. But there might be, I think oftentimes we just can't see things. I know that, they're maybe rushing through some gradings here and there. That is what it is. But I do think that there are cards that are graded correctly that just don't look as good as a card that can be. That's why I like a PSA 1 pinhole card, especially if everything else about it is like a PSA 7, but it has a pinhole and it's a PSA 1. I mean, especially on a very valuable vintage card. I mean, sign me up. That's my entry point right there.
What's your, I know you must have one. You have a Clemente rookie, right? What's, what are you holding on the Clemente rookie?
It's a 6. It's a 6. My
Right.
Clemente.
Yeah. I mean, that's a card that I'm constantly interested in seeing like what's out there on the Clemente rookie front, because there are so many components when it comes to centering, when it comes to like the kind of color and registration on the card. And you can find, a 1 or a 3 or a 2 that truly looks better than like a 4. I mean, it's just one of those cards. So anyway, we all have those cards in our world that just want to keep an eye out for.
Yeah, it's an awesome card for sure. 55 tops. But I have a picture of mine here. Mine is off centered pretty badly for a 6, but it's not like it. I still love it, and it's the corners, the edges. Like I'll show it on. It's just on my phone here, but that's my Clemente, and you can see it's up and to the right on the centering.
That's a Blazer, though.
It's from, as Chris Sewell would say, it's from the Blazer division.
Yes,
outside of centering.
Yeah, look at that green backdrop there. That is beautiful in the face. Oh, wow. Yeah, you did all right. You did all right.
The registration is perfect, actually.
Yeah,
it's a beauty. It's a beauty for sure.
It doesn't bother me in the least there. And I don't even really care about the corners at that point. I mean, it's like, okay, they're a little touched. I don't know.
Again, as I was saying earlier tonight, like I don't mind my vintage being lower than perfect. I mean,
I get worried when it's too sharp. I'm like, did this card get trimmed and somehow find its way into a holder? I mean, we have to think about that more and more now that we, in hindsight, see some of the things that are happening. So there is something actually comforting when you see the natural wear of the card and then the card still presents well.
Totally. Like if you're going when I look at 48 Leafs or 33 Gaudis or 52 Parkhurst in hockey or anything from those eras, like you can find yourself a gorgeous PSA 4. I mean, if you can afford it, because they're not, a lot of these cards in 4s are very expensive, but you can find, you don't need, I won't say what, and other people, I don't need a PSA 8. I'm happy with a nice 4, and you save a lot of money. You can go and put some of the money into another card too. Rich Frank says, I've been straight ripped off, but never really overpaid on a big one. Fair. Jake Stowe overpaid for his David Robinson rookie 30 years ago. That's going to happen. I mean, you compare what they're selling for now to then, it's pretty much the same price, right? Chris C, you wish you can get a Kobe refract. Yeah, those aren't that cheap anymore. That's for sure. If anyone knows who owns the 1/1 1969 PSA 10 Stanley Cup card, I need to speak to them. No idea. Lapper, when he was shaking when he won the card, was my biggest purchase by far at the time. An absolutely thrilling feeling. That's what the hobby does, right? It gives us thrilling feelings. I love it. Gray K47, welcome to the show, says, I have overpaid numerous times getting caught up in set building, especially if it is a low-numbered set that I don't know if it will come around for years. Yeah, that's the collector. You're a collector. You got to pay what you got to pay sometimes, for sure. Rich Frank, I like sharp corners, edges, surface. I can deal with it being 65, 35 off. So centering, yeah, see, I'm a surface guy. Number one is surface, then centering for me. And I distinguish between the two. Some people don't, I guess, but I hear you, Rich Frank. What's your end game? That's a great question. I know my end game in the hobby. I have an end game. I'll share it with you guys right now. My end game in the hobby there's two like scenarios sort of thing. It could go, this is a choose your own adventure, if you will, but there's two scenarios. One is my kids grow up, they're young, right? My kids are 3 and 5 almost. And so if they are interested and are going to be good custodians of this collection that their dad built over his lifetime, I will consider, willing it to them. It'll be part of their inheritance. That's one option if they're interested in them. The other option, and this is my chosen option, what I really want to do is I want to build this whole thing up just to tear it down in my twilight years. I've said it before. I just want to do the card show circuit in my like 70s maybe, which isn't as far away as I wish it was. I want to do the card show circuit in my 70s and just travel the continent with my cards and set up a card shows and sell cards until I'm down to almost nothing. That's kind of my end game.
So like in that vision, which I appreciate, are you like in an RV or like maybe something kind of like extra nice? Or
well, I mean, whatever we can afford at that point, right? But some sort of RV that we can just drive around, sleep in, tow a car behind us so we could run around wherever we are and have a car and maybe spend the summers up here in Canada, the winters down in Arizona, that kind of thing, right? And then in between, just drive around the continent to the card shows. We spend a lot of time in Dallas, a lot of time in Chicago, right? A lot of time in Florida, a lot of time in Vegas by then, I'm sure, Toronto. So yeah, that's what I'd like to do. That's the end game for me. It's like, sounds awesome. It just sounds so awesome for me. Anthony, I rarely overpay, but I don't chase rainbows or anything like that. I'm an opportunity buyer, you could say. Cheap, really. Yeah, that's a great approach.
I hear you, Anthony. That's a little bit of what I do. I mean, I'm not always looking for something, but if I see something that makes sense and it compels me, I might just push in.
Yeah, sometimes you just got to do it. The Dream says FOMO is real when it comes to PC. Yeah, I think I can definitely agree with that. Busby in 2015, I won a Brady Breeze dual auto for one spot, $20 in a Raz. What an amazing that's a gamble, but at least you recognize that's a gamble and win. Congratulations on that win. Kaplan says being one of those 5,000 fans at the Coyotes games, if they're still there, Dave, for sure. David French, fund your travels with the cards. I love that. That's not the idea, though. No, Dave. The idea is not to fund the travels with the cards. The idea is to fund the travels with life savings, and then to take the proceeds from the cards and that is my kids' inheritance. That's for them, for their once I'm gone, right? My kids I'm an old dad, so the money, if they don't want the cards, let me convert it. They don't need to convert it to cash. Let me convert it to cash and then leave them the money. Troy says, I would like to offer option number 3, adopt me and also be a third custodian for Jeremy's collection. You wish, Troy, you wish.
I want Jeremy to be my dad. I'd love to inherit a few Gretzky rookies and, maybe a little LeBron and Kobe.
Yeah. Hey, whoever inherits my collection will be very pleased. I think I'm very pleased with this. So, hey, of course I'm biased. I love my collection. Purple Haze, I thought I overpaid at the time on an Acuna Sapphire PSA 10, but I just had to have it. I did the same thing with an Acuna rookie season game-used bat, but it worked out. There you go. Lapper, me and my wife doing the same thing in the golden years, Jeremy. We'll meet up with you in 25 years. Lapper, we should caravan, right? We can caravan. That's a plan, buddy. That is a plan. We can just follow each other around and go hang out at all the shows. That'd be nice, especially for our wives, right? My wife is not into the hobby, right? She has nothing against it, but she is not into it at all. So she'll need some company to hang out with at these card shows for sure. Colin Murray, doing it full-time now at 50, priceless, most fun you will ever have. Buying, selling doesn't get better. Throw a couple of rounds of golf in there for kicks. I'm not a golfer, but I hear you, Colin. I hear you. Jeremy will be in his private jet, says Terry Fortune. I've been watching that show Succession on Netflix or whatever we've been watching it on, not Netflix, but that show Succession with their private jets. Talk about wealth. Oh my God. I heard that those actors took wealth training actually to act on that show.
Could I ask you a question, Jeremy? I mean, so, because we've been so locked down in COVID, throughout the last, 20 months, 24 months, it's hard to keep track. I mean, I'm curious, like, let's just say that we do get through, the variations, the different, Omicron, Delta, this, that, and the other. I mean, let's say there is a time where we travel freely. Do you think, because this is what I'm picking up, the in-person shows, the conventions, the ways that people are now showing up to in-person hobby dealing seems to have been amplified. And I know you have context because you've been doing shows for decades now, but I'm curious if you see the potential for really a more, once everything gets healthy, because we're seeing, it sounds like, really, fairly record numbers and new things emerging, even with the risk and the challenges of navigating COVID and travel and supply chains and all of that. What could you imagine in, say, 5 years, if indeed, the COVID stuff is, a memory in the past? What could you see in the realm of in-person hobby dealings?
I mean, I think it'll just be better than before. But we saw the National last year, and it was excellent. It was great. I think they need more room going forward because the hobby has just grown and is continuing to grow, and Fanatics is going to ensure that it continues to grow, I believe. So, I mean, if I understand the question, Joe, I just expect it to be bigger and better and more rounded out, right? Card shows historically are card shows, and then everybody goes home to their hotel rooms, to their houses, and waits till the next day if it's more than a one-day show. The National, recently has become something with the trade night. We're only over the last couple of Nationals. So, and that's now an event that surrounds the show itself. So I think that these shows and events and conferences and the industry summit, the Mint Collective, the National, the Dallas show, there's so many more events and gatherings that, extracurricular activities that surround the card show itself. I see the card show evolving that way. Now, in the floor, in the gymnasium, or in the hall, or wherever, it's what's going to change really. I mean, you need tables to display your cards, so there has to be that element. But I just see the whole thing growing into more of an event, more of a social event than just buying and selling cards, and just being bigger and better than they've been in the past. I think it's going to be that. I think that's where it's going to go. I don't see it being much different than that. And I like multi-day shows because, it just gives you more reason. You get more done, especially if you need that much time to cover the whole room like you do at the National. So I think it goes sort of in that direction.
What you mentioned too, and I'm not disagreeing with you. I think the community is primary, but when I hear and see, the testimonies of people attending these shows, the after-hour trade nights, that kind of stuff, all I think about is like, and I hope this doesn't sound, I don't know, not pitching in, but like fees and taxes, like being able to deal directly with human beings and cutting out all of the other stuff. And it's just a, cash on the barrelhead kind of thing. I think that value proposition is going to be hugely attractive moving forward, especially with, eBay now is reporting to, at least in the US, the tax man. You've got, the different fees. We may have more fees now with the authentication process. So I just see those in-person transactions really becoming, if and when everything becomes safe. I mean, I'm a little bit of a nervous Nelly when it comes to COVID, so I'm laying low, but I'm really excited to get out there and transact in real time with human beings and sell cards, buy cards, and trade cards. I think the trading is really one of the most huge opportunities that we have in the hobby, especially if you're, if you have a collector sensibility where you want to bring cards into your collection. Trade just seems like a massive opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, so for me, I agree. Like the in-person dealing to eliminate all the fee takers that we deal with out of convenience, and they earn their fees. Like they deserve them. I like eBay has low fees as far as I'm concerned. I know people say their fees, but I think eBay's fees are more than fair. But in any event, yeah, I agree. Fee avoidance is something that card shows allow. We are also social animals as human beings. We want to be in person. Like, you say you're nervous Nelly because of COVID. I say, I mean, listen, I'm not going to say it, but I would say just get it over with, right? Like you get COVID and it's over, right? For most people. So, come to the Vegas event. Are you going to get COVID there? Maybe not. But I mean, it's like every day my wife tells me, oh, do you know such and such, and the whole family has COVID. I'm like, okay, well, so they're getting it out of the way. Like it is what it is at this point. I overuse that term sometimes, but I just think, yeah, I mean, once we are in a more normal state of affairs, yeah, we don't even need to be. We're in an abnormal state of affairs, and there's more card shows now than ever. So what's going to change between now and then? They're just going to get bigger. That's it. The nervous Nellies will come out and be at more shows, I would say. So, yeah. Okay, Evan Thomas, Card Show Convoy 2047. Let's go. Yeah, that's pretty much exactly 2045, maybe. But if you can, here we go. Gray K47's ready in 2045. So we got 3 of us for sure. Evan Thomas is a maybe at this point. But yeah, let's do it for sure. Colin Murray got a show next week in Ontario. 3 weeks in a row. That's fun. Rock Latex. Jeremy isn't a golfer. Wasting that height. He would drive that ball at least 300 yards. So the few times I have golfed Rock Latex, I can tell you my drive is the strongest part of my game. I do have a very good drive. When the head of the club actually connects with the ball. I'm so far away from that ball. It's like it takes me 1 in 5 swings to actually hit the ball to make contact. So there you go. Rich Frank, no, Ontario, Canada, he meant, which he clarifies. Waxel will be wearing VR headsets and attending the annual NFT National in 5 years. I don't think I will be, but I get the comment still. Tampa asked, Jeremy, any thoughts on sports card radio? No thoughts on sports card radio, Tampa. No thoughts. Purple Haze, I'll be doing more in person, especially if eBay causes me to lose interest in the platform. Yeah, I think that's happening for some people. I think that's happening for sure. Rock Latex. He knew it. I don't know what you guys are talking about $600 there. I must have missed something, but that's okay.
That's the former eBay or the current eBay threshold for taxation.
Right. Yeah, Purple Haze says, I feel eBay might be damaging the attractiveness of the platform. I think you're right. That's not just a feel, Purple Haze. I think you can verify. For me, it has done that already, but I'm also going to be wide-eyed open and kind of willing to go at it, reserve judgment, see what happens, see how it goes. Once they start charging for this new service, which they made very apparent they're going to, for a limited time, we'll see what happens. But yeah, I think it's the wrong move. I mean, I think a lot of people are happy because it's giving a lot of people what they wanted, which was like fewer returns, holding people to their contracts, that sort of thing. But adding the time in there, I think there's more stuff. I think something else still has to come out. I think there's more to come. For something more needs to come, I believe. Not sure what it is. Chris Hayes says, preach. It's a psychological issue now. I don't know what that word is. Sorry, Chris Hayes. I got it. Societally, maybe. Club head speed would be about 130 miles an hour. Tampa says, I'm going to give my slabs a lot of attention. I hope it works out well. That's cool. Yeah, my slabs, I think they've got a good thing going. I haven't used the platform. I've like checked it out. I've I've clicked my way through, but I've never bought anything on there. But they may have. I think My Slabs, ComC, the PWCCs and Goldens of the world. I think they have big opportunities right now with eBay. I don't understand eBay, to be honest. I mean, I don't understand the way they do things sometimes, but hopefully they know more than I do, and they'll come out strong. We'll see. David French, random, but here's some fun. There's a BillRipken.com website that is amazing. Oh, that's cool. I have to check that out. Is it for the error card and all the variations? T-Dot, they're pulling a PSA, weeding out the junk. Ah, that's an interesting point. Weeding out the junk. So then where does the junk go, right? That's where ComC maybe has a big opportunity. And then there's another one. I forget what it's called. I know Sean Robb is big on it. Sport lots. I wonder about them. Chris C, we need a raw version of My Slabs. There's a good business opportunity for somebody. Dave says eBay still has the eyeballs. Haven't had luck on My Slabs. Yeah, no, Dave, I know you do sell on eBay, and they do have the eyeballs. That is for sure. It's for raw cards over $750, I think, Colin. But yeah, it's not very much, not yet. But they did say it's going to go down to $250 soon, I believe, in the next couple of months. Waxel uploaded a bunch onto My Slabs last night. They need more selection for sure, but I'm expecting more with these eBay rules. Yeah, there you go. My Slabs needs an app. That's the thing. I think they all need apps, right? eBay's app is awesome. Like, it's addictive. My Slabs needs an app. PWCC needs an app. Golden needs an app. I think all these guys need native apps. eBay is still king, obviously, even with the worry. My Slabs will be accepting raw soon. Jake's Toe says, wouldn't be surprised to see eBay certified slabs someday. They lost a lot of money when PWCC left. Yeah, they sure did. when they kind of just pushed that money out, actually. But yeah, I hear what you're saying, Jake's Toe. Rock Latex, how do you think PSA feels about their slabs having to get certified through a competitor? PSA, it's for raw cards, is it not? Oh no, it's for all. Is it for raw and graded? I don't think they care. I don't think PSA cares, to be honest. But we'll see what comes. Yeah, who knows? There could be so many directions this thing could go in that we can't even conceive right now. So it'll be fun to watch.
I think the current one, this was flummoxing me, and apparently you can see the blue check mark in the eBay auction if it's going to need that third-party authentication. But I think it's anything over $750 that's not graded and is not a patch or an auto.
Okay.
So if that's confusing to you, then you're a smarter human being than I am, because it took me about 5 times to hear that and understand it. But I think I finally do for now.
Appreciate.
That's until the summer, right?
Right. Appreciate you clarifying that. Tampa says, yes, please get My Slabs an app ASAP. Dave Kaplan says PSA slabs don't need eBay authentication. So there you go. And PWCC, yeah, they have an app, but it's only for the sellers. Right? They don't have an app to surf their new auctions. There's no shopping app. It's just for people who have cards with them, I believe. I mean, I have that app on my phone, and I cannot search their auctions with it and bid on the auctions with it. Colin Murray says CSG is authenticating the cards. Fanatics will be something soon. Will be buying soon. Yeah, I heard the Fanatics already own CSG or has a piece of it or something like that. So that all kind of makes sense. Waxel says StarStock doesn't show you the card you're buying and they only accept rookie cards. Yeah, we'll see how long. I always thought it was interesting that they were narrowed down to just rookie cards and only certain rookie cards. And now I don't know what's going on there, but I guess we'll find out soon if they're going to sort of rethink their whole business model. Maybe they have to, and maybe they will, and hopefully they come out stronger. Yeah, Colin confirms PWCC is just for buying. Dave says it also. So Dave says to you, Joe, that eBay's new authentication excludes sets and lots. So it's just for single card auctions. That's really interesting. Junkyard says it's going to be an eBay CSG Fanatics trifecta. Seems like it. Tampa PWCC's website in the final day of their auctions is trash. I've lost several cards because they can't handle the traffic. I mean, trash is a strong word. I wouldn't call it trash. I've had luck on there, but they're working through the glitches, right? It's technology. It always freezes. Yeah, I've noticed it a little bit. Hey, I cover the auctions, right? And I've seen some issues, but I'm patient. It's always it's technology. It's got to get better. Purple Haze, no matter what happens, I'll still be buying cards from somewhere, some way. Exactly. That's the post of the night right there.
Yeah.
Post of the night, right? Post of the night goes to Purple Haze. No matter what happens, I'll still be buying cards from somewhere, someday. Well done, Purple Haze. Post of the night. Chris Hayes says, all these upstart selling platforms still lack the reputation and earn confidence. Fair. T-Dot, I wouldn't buy an ungraded card for over $750 anyway. I mean, I do, and I will. But I hear you, T-Dot. I hear you. Try bidding on 20 or so cards with minutes to bid and it freezes nonstop. Yeah, no, I hear you, Tampa. It depends on your approach, right? Hasn't been my strategy on their platform, but I definitely can see that for sure. I liked covering PWCC's auctions when they were on eBay because it was like consecutive, right? One card, then the next. Even when they were 2 seconds apart, I would rush through, sometimes have to go back on them, but that was more fun than the new platform. But the new platform does have some features that I find to be very enticing and great for content and interesting and fun to cover. So just gotta, I consider myself adaptable and so I'm able to adapt and just make the best of the situation. That's really what it comes down to me in every situation. Make the best of the situation. So that's what I try to do. What's going on, Joe?
I was reflecting back. I think it was just last Sunday where because there was the extra day added on to the premier auction, we had the weekly auction and the premier auction at PWCC ending roughly at the same time. And I'm very interested in how the weekly PWCCs, I it's a little out of my financial strata to go into the premier, but I'm really interested to see how the weekly PWCC works out. I got one card last week, and I'm assuming it's up again. I probably should, do my due diligence, see if there's anything out there that I like. But, I am also, I forget who made the comment, but I am also, I haven't had any technological glitches, but I think I've had a learning curve in terms of how to approach the way the PWCC auction formats are, because there are a lot of cards at once, and I think it, do your research, right? Like I found myself a little compromised when I'm down to the wire and I've got like 3 cards that I'm maybe interested in, and I'm trying to figure out which one do I want to push into, and making good decisions in those contexts. I'm curious to see, because we've talked with Eric Myers and some of the folks there that mentioned, as this rolls out, there might be opportunities there. There might be some really good bargains to be had. And I think the point of going from a monthly to a weekly is to consolidate the selection so that you can be a little more focused. So yeah, that's just something on my mind, as a, in terms of acquisitions and opportunities. I just kind of want to see the next few weeks how the PWCC weekly, what's offered, and dial in my own strategy.
Yeah, for sure. I think the game changer for PWCC is going to be when they do have a native app that will allow people to bid on cards on those auctions. You said that they went from monthly to weekly to sort of, I think what they did there was spread it out. They had their monthly was like 40,000 cards, 25 to 40,000 cards. It's really hard to navigate their site. Now they're in that 5,000 to 6,000 a week sort of volume. And I think that's easier to navigate, but I think it's going to be better for the whole hobby and their sellers once that app is out. I think they're going to realize higher prices on cards because it's just much more convenient to be on your phone than sitting at a computer for most people. I believe it is. I wanted to bring up a comment here from Gray K47 says early. So as far as working on the PWCC platform, early bid and then extended bidding helps with the PWCC lag. So I do find that to be right. They're not all really ending in that 1 second anymore. You can get 20 bids in a minute or in a 5-minute window. It depends what window, or if you're in the greens, the yellows, or the reds in terms of their windows, right? So if you're in the reds, it's a minute until it all closes. You got to get your bids in quick. But when they're in those 5-minute closing windows, you've got lots of time to make all the bids. I would argue. So I do like the format, and keep in mind too with them that they change it as they see fit, right? They try to improve based on customer feedback and that. So it's going to evolve. It's going to continue to evolve, and I believe get better. And then the app will help as well. So. And then Golden's going to have to follow suit and do the same thing to compete, because PWCC, even though they have their public image issues and they have in the past, they still move a lot of cards. So
iron sharpen iron.
Tampa, yeah, I do early bids. It's when it comes to crunch time that it goes bad. Well, but so the crunch time though can be longer, but yeah. I think also with practice to Tampa, right? The more times you do it, you might be able to sort of tighten up your strategy there a little bit. I hope you can, but if not, I guess you can't if you can't. Dave says the other interesting thing about the eBay authentication is how it will work cross-border. If a Canadian buys the item, does it get sent to the USA for auth and then back to Canada? I heard it wasn't for Canadians yet, or I believe, but we'll see. Waxel, there's over 47 million singles listed on eBay, but most certainly no matter what the set or player, there will be someone there to outbid me with 2 seconds left. Yeah, we all agree. We like PWCC when they were on eBay. That's the eBay platform though, right? I mean, it's very good. Scratch that. Buyer and seller must be in USA for eBay authentication. So that really puts international buyers at either an advantage on one hand, but a disadvantage on the other hand, right? You might have to, and especially I would say the sellers are at a disadvantage, especially.
It's not the first time I've thought it's time to move to Canada.
Troy says, I also have a USA address, might be using that for buying and selling. Yeah, as do I. So it's always nice to be able to ship to the US if you're buying in there. If hey, for me, it doesn't, I don't really care where the card has to go. Just get to me, eventually make its way to me. I never need a card within 30 days. Like, I don't need the card that fast. I'm pretty patient. As long as I know it's coming, I'm pretty content. So, all right, man, we're coming up on 2 hours. I'm losing steam.
Yeah, you've been at it. Good talk.
We're going to wrap up. So, yeah, that's good. What a fun night. Thanks, Joe, for joining. Appreciate it, buddy.
Back at you. I hope everyone enjoys the Sunday of football games, and stay safe out there, and enjoy the hobby.
Yeah, for sure. No, thanks for saying that's a nice message, Joe. Yeah. Thank you, everybody, for joining After Hours with Joe and the earlier show with Suze. That was a fun night. Thanks for sticking with us the whole time. If you did, Collectible Live tomorrow, 7 o'clock Eastern on the Collectible YouTube channel. That show's good. I got to tell you guys, I'm enjoying that show. It's evolved, so come check it out. Jake's Toe, appreciate it. Good point. Joe and Jeremy, the goats tonight. Thank you so much. Mark's losing steam. Thank you, Albert. Appreciate it. Thank you, everybody, for joining. Appreciate it, Junkyard. Hit the thumbs up, guys. Hit the thumbs down even. Hit the thumbs down if you want, but hopefully you don't. But hit something. Click something. If you're not yet subscribed, be sure to hit the subscribe. And we'll be back next Saturday with more, and the Saturday after that, and the one after that, too. The only one I'll be taking off is March 26th, when I will be in Vegas for the Mint Collective. There will be no show on March the 26th, but there will be one on the Saturdays on either end of that. Otherwise, everybody, if we don't see you on Collectible Live tonight, thank you for joining. Have a great week ahead. Enjoy your hobby. Enjoy your life. Thank you, Tampa. Appreciate it. Thank you, Troy. Yeah, enjoy football tomorrow, everybody. Thank you, Purple Haze. Thank you, Waxel. Thank you, everybody who's there. That's it. This is